What is the normal real estate transaction timeline in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts? In this video, we're going to find out. So the normal real estate transaction timeline in Cambridge depends on how long it takes for there to be an offer that is accepted. So if you're a buyer, you could be looking to find your next home for 2 hours or 2 days or 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years. It just depends on what you're looking for and how hard it is to find that property and to what extent you're willing to compromise with regard to the items on your must-have and wish list. If you're a seller, it's going to depend on what you're willing to sell the property for, what it's on for, and what kind of offer or offers you receive and what you're willing to accept. So the preamble is the search, or if you're a seller, the time for the buyer to emerge. But once there's an offer, which is accepted, the typical timeline in the Cambridge and Somerville real estate market is 4 to 6 weeks. So an offer is made and accepted, and generally speaking, the offer is accompanied by a check for $1,000 known as the binder, and the offer is attached to the buyer's pre-approval letter or proof of funds document, and the seller receives the offer typically via the listing agent, and they review it. And if there's any negotiation, edits and alterations to the offer are made, and then it is signed, and there is a signed accepted offer. And so that is typically when we begin that clock that sees the process complete itself in 4 to 6 weeks. After offer acceptance, there may be a home inspection. Now, if it's a hot to trot property, a buyer may choose to visit the home prior to the offer deadline, if there is one, with a home inspector for a full-blown home inspection or a home inspector consultation, which is a shorter version of a home inspection, where a home inspector walks through and spends typically an hour at the property and offers an opinion. Now, again, the seller's market that was present in the Cambridge-Somerville market from 2012 to 2020, many people would visit with a home inspector before bids were due, but it's more common in a more balanced market for an offer to include a home inspection contingency and for the buyer to visit with a home inspector for a home inspection after offer acceptance. Typically, a home inspection contingency lasts for a calendar week. And so once your offer is accepted, you have typically a week to get your home inspector in. And the home inspection, by definition, is an opportunity for the buyer to exit the transaction. It is not, by definition, an opportunity to renegotiate the sale price. That being said, based on findings, there may be an additional round of negotiation between buyer and seller via the agents based on what was discovered. If the transaction's continuing, if the home inspection does not cause the deal to come to an end, the next step in the process is the purchase and sale. And typically that is signed within a couple business days after the completion of the home inspection window. So the purchase and sale, known as the P&S, comes next. And if you will, it may fall on business day 7, 8, 9, or 10 in the transaction if the first 7 days have been granted to the home inspection window. So the purchase and sale comes next. The buyer typically is writing a second check as a deposit equal to 5% of the purchase price. And it is sort of the magic moment in the transaction in Cambridge and Somerville, as the only contingency typically that will survive in a purchase and sale is the financing contingency, the mortgage contingency. And if the buyer is getting a loan, the purchase and sale will include a paragraph regarding the mortgage, which will make known the date by which the buyer must get the mortgage commitment. And typically that falls 3 to 4 weeks after signing the purchase and sale. So look, let's give an example on the calendar. Let's say an offer is made and accepted on January 1st, and the buyer is going to complete their home inspection by January 8th, and the deal's on, and we're moving to purchase and sale. And we're going to have a purchase and sale signed by January 10th, where the buyer writes a second check for 5% of the purchase price as a deposit. And in that purchase and sale agreement, in this example, it's made known that the buyer will need to obtain their mortgage commitment by January 31st, and that the closing is going to be on February 8th. So in that example, from offer acceptance to closing, the timeline is about 5 weeks. And there's a time period for the home inspection. Then the purchase and sale is signed. Then in the purchase and sale, there's a mortgage commitment date. And then we come to the closing. Now, look, there are all sorts of ways that this timeline can play out. A cash buyer not getting a loan can really move quickly if they wish to, and it's possible to do so. And I've done a couple deals in my career that have taken 2.5 to 3 weeks from offer to closing. So cash deals can move quickly. Now, it can also be the case that a seller might want some additional time in the home before the closing date, or to stay on beyond the closing date for a brief period of time. And so it could be that instead of it taking 4 to 6 weeks, it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get to the closing. So there are variations on this. And as I said, if you're doing your home inspector visit prior to making an offer, then your offer as written could accelerate the timeline by going from offer to purchase and sale quickly within a couple business days, since the home inspection piece does not need to be accounted for on the timeline after acceptance because you've dealt with the home inspection before acceptance. So working with your buyer's agent, considering the market conditions, considering the property you're bidding on, considering the seller's preference, considering your own. You can consider all of these elements in crafting an offer that has the possibility of working, of being accepted, of being a win-win, one that works for you and one that works for the other side. So there you have it. It's a process that's not set in stone and not forever the same. It just depends on the situation, and it's always changing. So carefully consider your options and the particular situation you find yourself in. My name is Charles Cherney. I am a top residential real estate agent helping buyers buy the right home and sellers sell for the best price here in Cambridge and Somerville, Massachusetts. And I welcome the opportunity to connect with you as you give thought to your real estate needs in the community. Reach out at any time by text, telephone, or email. I welcome the opportunity to answer your questions and be of service as you consider the market, your home, and the community. Take care.